So ever since this project was announced, the show has had a huge following online and on Twitter, and you guys have been participating so much in it. How much of that was part of your plan to just take over the world, I guess the question is. You
don't have to plan for it with this, with the Marvel Universe. It sort of just happens.
Right.
Beyond our control.
Right. It's we're having fun, for sure. There's a lot of pressure because it is such a big project and it exists in a universe that has been so well established and loved and adored and has such a history. So we're working our best.
We're doing our best to make everybody happy, including ourselves.
Yes.
Adapting the Marvel Universe on TV.
Right. It's a challenge, but what we are doing is just looking at it through a different lens. We are telling more human stories within that extraordinary universe. You know, Coulson is the human face in all the movies you've seen, and so now he has a team of real people who don't have superpowers, but they're skilled in their own way, and they're dealing with this extraordinary world.
Right. The movies each follow someone who has some crazy power, and they're thrilling, and they cost many monies. But we feel like you can relate to the human aspect. It's hard to relate to a guy who's a god. He's a god. We feel you can relate in a different way to the humans on the ground in a world where these people exist. The Battle of New York happened. We saw aliens come out of the sky. So the world has changed, and what is it like to be a person, a real person with no superpowers in a world where people do have those powers? We think those are compelling stories to tell.
Since you're on a network now, like ABC, how much are you allowed to be episodic versus serialized?
Well, we are doing.
Balance.
Yeah, it's a nice balance. Much like what Joss did with Buffy or Angel or any of the shows. Each episode will be standalone, but there will be mythology based throughout.
So how does it compare working on something like this, which is a pre-established universe, like Dollhouse, where you're creating your own? Have you been doing a crash course on the Marvel Universe?
We've definitely been doing a crash
course. We have lots of homework all the time.
Right.
And also the Marvel Universe is so vast so that if we think we're coming up with some new character and then we're like, oh, can somebody do that? And the answer is yes.
You have a guy who does that?
At what point did you decide to tie the Mike Peterson character into Iron Man 3's plot?
Well, that's something that our goal is to sort of weave throughout what already exists in the movies and what we establish on the show. So we hope to complement what happens, supplement what happens, and vice versa.
We want to make it more rewarding if you watch both than if you just watch one. So, we can deal with fallout after a feature or sort of tee some things up. But there's a lot of parties involved. It's a huge machine that we are in. So it's a process, but a rewarding one, and it's very fun for sure.
Were there any specific rules or guidelines that Marvel set out that have just characters or plot lines you couldn't touch, or was it pretty much?
Sure.
It's Marvel.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of there's all sorts of rules in place. There's different properties owned by different people, and there's stuff that they have slotted away for features, and so the whole process is it's ongoing in terms of here's the story we want to tell, how can we tell it, what's our framework, but within that framework there's so much that it doesn't limit us in any way. It's just more about where is the out of bounds, so we can move involved in we think it's sometimes I feel like someone who doesn't know something, there's a way that you can just say it where it sounds like it's part of the world and it fleshes out the world, where it is relatable to someone who does know what it is. It's extremely exciting.
You don't have to be a Marvel fan to watch the show and relate to it and enjoy it. I think that's our goal. We are following, it's a Joss Whedon show. What he does is he takes emotionally compelling moments and puts them in extreme circumstances, and we have the benefit of being able to do that because we are existing in the Marvel Universe where everything is extraordinary. Yeah, so we're hoping that people will just relate to it. And
Right, in terms of our approach is always just to try to make something that we enjoy and personally, because we think that if we enjoy it, then other people will enjoy it, regardless of whether or not they're fans.
we also have the challenge of, the Marvel audience is a very male audience, and then the ABC audience is a very female audience. So we're hoping to have a middle ground in the humor of it. And there will always be humor.
Could we ever see any costume characters showing up on the series?
Sure. Yes.
No one moves forward.
Perhaps.
So it's not off limits.
It's not all. It's not just a spy show. We're hoping to do a little bit of everything.
Can you tell me a little bit about, with the characters of the show, I feel like Skye was kind of the every woman, and that she's the person who's outside the cast and comes in and is going to learn a lot about S.H.I.E.L.D. How are you guys approaching that task of introducing all these ideas and all that big world to the audience? Is it all through her, or are there different aspects of how you approach that task?
Well, audiences can pick stuff up pretty fast. One of the things is if you show the world operating, well, then they'll pick up pretty quickly how it works. But yes, we are using Skye as sort of.
Initially, we are using Skye as a sort of audience's perspective into this world, because that's what it is.
It's not bad when you have a crazy world to have a character who they need to explain what it means.
Yeah, I'll be like, what is that?
Yeah, what is that? Well, I will tell you now. Look into the lens.
How far ahead have you plotted the arc?
We've
Got some ideas
kind of.
down the road.
You don't have to be specific, just like
I think we've got a
We have
good
a season mapped out
yeah.
and a second season concept, but
We just started shooting episode 2 days ago,
right.
and then got whipped away from it to come here.
Yeah.
So,
So we have a lot of cool things planned. We're pretty excited about where it's going.
yeah.
With this being a spy-based series, what were your influences as far as TV and movies when you were trying to piece this together for the spy-specific aspect?
We talk about Alias a lot in terms of the spy aspect. Jeff Bell worked on Alias, so it's easy to
that
talk
helps.
about. Yeah, and one of the things that we're trying to do when we tell that story or when we tell any story is find that Marvel hook for it. What makes it different? What makes it Marvel? It's something we say a lot in the room. That's our biggest responsibility is the Marvel brand, which is fun, action, emotion, and humor.